Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. After the offering of the Nama Pushpas at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, with deep gratitude that we are able to sing at all in his powerful shrine and sing his powerful Nama at that, for the simple reason that it is no small grace. The mind can make 100 excuses for not being present. Generally, we do things and then offer explanations to justify what we do. Many people live the way they want and create a philosophy for it. But the true God-men, they have a philosophy and they live their life as per the dictates of this philosophy, which is truly a great thing. Now, we have been seeing the greatness of his name, the glory of his name. Today, we should go through some glimpses from the life of Bhagwan at Sannidhi Street House. I had already referred to a particular incident which was at once humorous and instructive, informative, that when I was seated there in that small veranda, some lady had brought a carrier of food. That day, Swami's coconut shell was not to be seen, and Bhagwan was seated there near the step next to the wooden door, the stone step. Now, after some time, the lady was standing there for nearly an hour, and then Bhagwan pulled the carrier. She had brought a banana leaf, but Swami simply ignored it and opened the top of the carrier. The first vessel that he came across was the one that contained the vegetables. Immediately, he just put his hand into it, took a handful of the vegetables and put them straight on the stone step. He did not have a plate brought from inside. He did not spread the banana leaf either. He simply took the vegetables and put them right on the dusty stone step. Those of us who were present there were looking upon wide-eyed. what a scene it was. And what was more, much more was to come. He put his hand straight upon the vegetables and started to eat. There was a little rat from inside getting very curious because of the fragrance, the aroma of the vegetable, cooked vegetable. So it came out, and then it would come a little boldly, see some of us seated there, it would be frightened and run back inside. And within seconds, he would once again peep out, would look here and there, run a little distance in the front, and again he would run back. But the fourth time he did, he was unable to resist the aroma of the cooked vegetable, so he took a dash, a tangent towards the vegetables. And what was more, it was running back every time, frightened by our presence there, but now drawn by the vegetable and completely ignoring the presence of Bhagwan, or perhaps in harmony, totally in harmony, and therefore unafraid of the presence of Bhagwan. It came to the other side and started to eat. Just imagine for 1 second the stones, the wooden door, that small veranda, the wooden door, the stone step, and Bhagwan was seated next to that on the first platform. And here was the vegetable, the sabji, placed straight upon the dusty stone step. And Bhagwan was eating it from one side, and happily, in such camaraderie, as they say, in complete friendship and harmony, the little rat was eating from the other side. What a strange sight. None of us would have ever been prepared for such a sight. Had we ever witnessed? It was like two people seated in a restaurant opposite to each other, having a sumptuous dinner. Bhagwan had a smile though playing on his lips. And here, just look at how we think, the difference between Bhagwan and the ordinary people. Here I was seated there in the corner, looking upon the whole thing with wide-eyed surprise, and was thinking all that I could think of at that moment. My God, don't they say that the rat is poisonous? Whatever is left over of the food eaten by a rat is supposedly poison. This is what I have picked up. And I was thinking, suddenly the thought jumped. What if Bhagwan should take some portion from there? What if he called me and put some into my palm? What would I do? The leftover of a rat? For one thing, it was disgusting, and for another thing, it was poisonous, or at least I thought so. As soon as the thought came, very dramatically, Bhagwan looked up, and the little rat ran away, alarmed, and Bhagwan took a little of that sabji from the portion eaten by the rat, called me with one finger and dropped it into my hand and said, "Eat it." But then, the very presence of Bhagwan and our cultural background, that whatever is the leftover of a great master is Amrita, Prasad. So immediately the thought left me that it was poison left over by the rat. I simply took it, enjoying the taste of it, all the time aware that it was his prasad. This is what satsang does. In 1 second, in a fraction of a second, the whole idea got changed. Now let us shift to Sannidhi Street again. This is quite a few years before. Say maybe about 8 or 9 years before. It was probably the late 79 or early 80. Agaram Jayaraman was getting ready to leave Swami at his command. And then Swami used to give some lemons to him and some packets of flowers to be distributed in Chennai to people like Justice Ramakrishnan, Shri K.V. Jagannathan, Shri Periyasamy Thuran. So when he was giving them, he also ran inside and brought an apple. The apple was bitten. A little portion of that had been food for some creature. He showed it to Jayarama and said, Jayarama, this little has been eaten by a rat, but this beggar would like you to take it and give it to Vijayalakshmi, who is pregnant now. Will you give it to her? And suppose she is hesitant to eat it because this has been eaten by a rat and she doesn't want it. It's okay, give it to her husband Natarajan. Or you can share it with Natarajan. The two of you can eat it. Just see, it just didn't matter to him what bit into it. Anything that came to his hand became prasad. And he never hesitated to give. So when he was going to give it to a pregnant woman for her welfare, what a prasad it must have become. For one thing, it stayed in the house of Bhagwan, and then it was taken in the hand of Bhagwan to be given to Agaram Jayaraman for somebody. So this is what we see. There is another scene. We shall go over there. Now, Jayaraman landed there in the night. Bhagwan was all smiles. Oh, Jayarama, Jayarama, you have come? Come. And then he gave him food to eat. It would surprise us, sometimes several idlis, 4 packets of chapatis. After he ate it, Bhagwan would thank him profusely again and again and say, Jayarama, you have done my father's work. I leave it to you to make what you want of it. Then Bhagwan said, you eat it, Jayarama. And then after he took food, Bhagwan said, Jayarama, look at the nails of this beggar's hand, the fingers. in the toes. This beggar would like you to cut them. Can you do it, Jayarama? Yes, Swami, I will do it. And then he took out a nail cutter. He started. Now Bhagwan said, Jayarama, there was somebody here some time back. This beggar wanted him to do that. And he started cutting. But he had a nail cutter which was not very good at all. So he was trying and trying, but he was unable to do it. This beggar was afraid also. And then this beggar asked him, what was its cost? He said it was 1 rupee. He picked it up for 1 rupee from somewhere. Jayarama, this machine seems to be very nice. How much did you pay for this, Jayarama? He said 5 rupees, Swamiji. Oh, 5 rupees. This is cutting very well, Jayarama. This beggar is happy and you are doing it nicely. So Jayarama, with double care, started to cut the nails on the fingers of Bhagwan, and also he came down to the toes. And Bhagwan was very happy with him. But you see, at the end of it, there was a little nail, a very, very, very tiny portion of it, sticking to the thumb of the left hand of Bhagwan, the hand that was doing japa all the time, ceaselessly. And he could not remove it with a machine. Bhagwan called it machine. So he just put his fingers, 2 fingers, and pulled it out. Now you see, until then everything was going smooth, very nice. Suddenly, there was a little pain, and Bhagwan winced out of pain. And immediately he took a portion of his dhoti and covered it. And then he said, Jayarama, this beggar has to be very careful. This beggar's every drop of blood matters. They are needed for Father's work, Jayarama. This beggar doesn't want this to drop out on the floor. He kept it covered for some time, and then he said, now it is all right. By Father's grace, Jayarama, no blood came out. All Father's grace, Jayarama. Though there is pain, no blood. I remember another scene in Mahabharata, that when the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi had to be in disguise, they had to spend the 13th year in complete disguise so that nobody would recognize them. And they were spending their time in Virat country, and there Dharmaputra, Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, was the advisor to the king of the Virat. And one day the king would be playing and I think something happened in the play, and the king thought that Yudhishthira was not playing fair. He got angry and he threw the coin. It was a dice game, and something happened to the advantage of Yudhishthira and to the disadvantage of the king. King got angry and he threw the coin at the face of Yudhishthira, it hit him near the eye and the blood came out. Draupadi was in the disguise of Sairandri, a maid to the queen. She immediately came and held her hand so that the blood would not drop to the floor. And naturally the king was surprised. Why would you do this? And then Yudhishthira said, if any dharmatma's blood, even a drop of it, should fall upon the land of any kingdom, there will be immediate destruction to the place. Such is the value of the blood of a dharmatma, the one who follows strictly the dharma, the path of dharma, the virtuous one. His blood is precious. It should not fall, especially when he is hit by something and the blood should drop on the bhumi, the earth. It would bring immediate destruction to the place. How many subtleties are there? We do not know. I also remember another scene when Sadhu Rangarajan's daughter and son had come. Son had given blood, donated blood. I think they had a youth wing or something. Under the auspices of that, he had given blood. And after which he came. Bhagwan was very, very concerned. He said, don't do it. You are meant for Father's work. You have to do a lot of service of Father. You should not do anything that would weaken your body. The strength of your body is very necessary for Father's work. So do not attempt anything that would weaken. It is meant for other people, not for you. He chided him. Now we shall shift ourselves to another scene. Bhagwan started to say that some people call this beggar a lazy man, a crazy man, a beggar who does not even bathe. He is so lazy, he does not even bathe. He is so lazy, he is so crazy, he does not change his clothes. A beggar who doesn't go out for work, he doesn't earn money, even though he is healthy and strong. He seems to depend upon the food from others. Why would he beg? You see, some people say this of this beggar, but some people say, oh, Swami is engaged in some divine work all the time. He doesn't have time to bathe. He doesn't have time to change his clothes. You see, Jayarama, how people say about the same man, about this beggar. There are people who say that this beggar is cunning, like a parasite. He depends upon others, money, he depends upon others for food. Some others come and say, this beggar is innocent as a baby. He is a pure soul. He is God himself. And Jayarama, some people come and say, this beggar is a dirty beggar, a dirty sinner. He is the worst example of a bad character. Just think that how he must have been abused by people. So vulnerable he was, living in the streets with no food or shelter, at the same time doing a tremendous cosmic work unseen by people. So Bhagwan said, some people say this man has no morals at all. He is the worst kind of character. Some people say he is pure as Sri Rama. He is a dharmatma. He is so divine. He is so pure. And some people say, Jayarama, that this beggar is smoking. He is no good character. He is a sinner. This beggar is smoking and smoking and smoking all the time, indulging in smoking. Some people say this beggar is smoking for the sake of the devotees. You see, Jayarama, there are people who say anything about this beggar, whatever they know. They try to understand this beggar from the little experience they have, from the little knowledge they have, according to their nature, according to their understanding. But the truth is, Jayarama, do you know what the truth is? My father has said that this beggar is his heart, this beggar is his soul, this beggar is his all. Do you hear, Jayarama? My father says that this beggar is doing work all the time, that he is not lazy, he is not crazy, and that this beggar is slogging all through the day to the entire satisfaction of my father. This is the truth, Jayarama. This beggar is happy. This beggar doesn't bother what people say about him. What matters is what father thinks of this beggar. And father says, this beggar is his all. This beggar is doing his work tirelessly to his entire satisfaction. Now, this beggar, Bhagwan, is here in front of us in the form of the Shila Murti. We have heard Bhagwan say oftentimes that the Shila Murti of any deity is no Shila at all, it's no statue at all. Statue of bronze or stone. It is not lifeless, it's alive, breathing and blessing. It is Chaitanya. It's my father himself. Do not think that this is this beggar's statue. This is my father himself. And this beggar is so alive here, one can see change of expressions on his face. One can see animations. And whoever comes and prays before this beggar's murti, they will be able to feel the presence of my father. They will be helped by my father. So we shall submit our today's prayers at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. Bhagwan, we beg you again and again. We have been begging for 1 year now. Though things had changed dramatically some time back, now once again there seems to be another wave of a similar situation and perhaps even worse. We beg you for your immediate intervention, divine intervention, in order to free the entire humanity from the clutches of this dreadful virus and its variants. Bhagwan, please bring back normalcy to the world, and let this be a normalcy based upon values, human values. And Bhagwan, we beg you for that bestowal of grace which would remove, which would uproot the panic from the hearts of people. And Bhagwan, kindly stop the rapid spread of the disease. Enter its medicine so that it would work and kill the entire family of the viruses. And Bhagwan, there are people unable to find a bed in the hospitals because they are overflowing. Not only they don't get a room or a bed, even the medicines are not easily available, though of course they are assuring it will soon be available. We beg you for the fair distribution of the medicines for those people who have not had any room. They must get the right treatment, and all those people who have been afflicted with this corona or its variant must heal fast, get well soon, and be discharged from the hospital. We are begging on behalf of everyone who has been afflicted by this coronavirus to get well soon and be discharged from the hospital in good health. And Bhagwan, we are begging again for all those people who are slogging day and night at the very risk of their life in order to save other lives, fighting the disease. Please give them protection and a lift to economy, and above all, constant remembrance of your name and the right attitude to life, the attitude of being a good instrument in your hands, so that we run our lives, we go about our lives with gratitude to you for all the blessings we receive. And Bhagwan, give us that purity of mind that could see only your blessing in every event of life. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar.